My name's Cameron Wiethoff, and I'm currently a second-year management fellow at CTCA, Cancer Treatment Centers of America. As you may or may not know, Cancer Treatment Centers of America is a private hospital system built of 5 hospitals spread across the country and a corporate office in Boca Raton, Florida. So we have 5 hospitals located in Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Georgia, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Phoenix, Arizona. And so we really specialize in comprehensive integrative cancer care, which differentiates ourselves in market. And the Management Fellowship Program is designed to build future leaders of the company. So it's a 2-year rotational leadership development opportunity where we're provided with an experience and opportunity to rotate to all the various CTCA hospitals to learn about different issues the hospitals are facing, have high exposure to these high impact projects and strategic initiatives that we actually play a huge part in. And then also receive leadership development opportunities and resources and mentorship throughout to really prepare ourselves to find a niche within the company and to be future leaders in healthcare.
And so Cameron and Sierra, some students are going to be tuning in live and some are going to be tuning in a little later on. Either way, you're going to be on campus this week, so I thought you might do a quick shout out to where students might be able to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Sierra, and I actually just graduated from Stanford this past year, so I'm missing being out there on the farm. But Cam and I will be heading back this coming Thursday, so we're going to be at the career fair, more in the consulting division, as we really do focus, as Cam noted, on that business development and that leadership development. We're going to be in that section of the career fair to answer any questions and provide some specific examples of the work that we've been doing. And then we're also hoping to have a get-together later that evening or the following morning to have some more one-on-one time with any students who are interested in the program.
Awesome. And so before we dive deeper into the program itself, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your trek to the Management Fellow program?
Sure. Sierra, would you like to start since you just recently joined and it's probably at the top of your head here?
Absolutely. So while at Stanford, I majored in psychology, specifically in our neuroscience program, and I was very much set on the pre-med track. And when it came time that summer before senior year to kind of decide where I saw myself going in the future, I had to sit down and ask myself the hard questions of, well, why did I want to go into medicine and what was the reason behind that? And I realized that the core reason of that decision was I wanted to help patients and really create an experience in healthcare that was more about just your disease. It was about you as a complete person. And the more thought I gave to that, I realized that practicing medicine was just one avenue, but in order to practice medicine, there is a far greater structure at hand that creates the environment for physicians to practice. And I really thought that that was the opportunity that I could affect the greatest number of people. So in my mind, I had this idea of what that type of profession and career would look like. And it wasn't until I started doing some research and really started digging into what type of hospital systems were out there that I happened upon CTCA. And the first thing that I saw when I both researched the company and spoke with current fellows like Cam was the true dedication to what we call our mother standard of care. And that's that we treat all of our patients as you would treat a family member. And from, as cheesy as it sounds, from the moment I heard that statement, I knew that that was the type of healthcare industry and system that I wanted to be involved with.
Yeah, I think that's a great response, Sierra. I pretty much have a very similar path. So I went to school at DePauw University, a small private liberal arts university in Indiana. And so born and raised in Indiana, definitely felt the need to explore other options out of the Midwest. And so I knew I wanted to be a part of some type of healthcare system. And this opportunity really would provide kind of a structure or template for me to design my own experience for the entire 2-year rotational program, allowing me to travel to different cities, live and work in these different areas across the country to really figure out my niche within the company and to further develop skills and attributes that would allow me to be a strong leader in healthcare. And so I studied biology for my undergrad and was actually really set on going to med or dental school for the longest time. Until I realized, kind of like Sierra, that there's also an opportunity in the business world within healthcare to make a very strong impact on the patient experience. And I'm a super social person and love interacting with others and constantly changing the environment that I'm working in. And so that led me to really want an opportunity that wasn't stagnant, that wasn't necessarily in the same office building or corporate office every day, but would allow me to travel the states and to really gain this comprehensive exposure, really, to all these different locations and projects and the different business leadership styles and the different issues that all these hospitals are facing. So I fell in love with the mission of the company and really figured out that it was meant for me.
All right, and you know, in chatting with you all, a couple words that have really stuck out to me about CTCA. You guys say it's an entrepreneurial experience. You get to design your own path. So can you talk to our students a little bit about what that means to you and what that might mean to them if they were with you guys?
Absolutely. That was something that both excited me and also gave me a little bit of butterflies in my stomach, I guess, when thinking about I was about to enter the professional world. And the biggest difference in my mind between the professional world and the school world was that you had this true 100% responsibility for what you were contributing to the workplace and what you were contributing to the experience that you were in. And I couldn't quite understand how that was going to play out necessarily in a in a day-to-day system. But one of the most amazing elements of the fellowship is that the projects that you work on and the leaders that you work with, you really take the initiative and the step to reach out to those leaders and to initiate those conversations and really dig deep and discover what is a true need at this hospital right now. I'm currently here in Chicago, and we are opening a brand new part of the hospital. We're going to be pretty much doubling in size. And I was able to reach out to a key leader who works very closely with our nursing staff and has a very large clinical presence, and express to her my interest, what I wanted to take from the experience, but also how I could best help the hospital. And all of those factors were equally weighed when it came time to figure out what I was going to be working on. So I thought that was a really unique element in that I was both helping an organization in the greatest area of need, but they were also equally weighing what I wanted to gain from the experience. And that was something I had never heard of before, and I'm so thankful for on a day-to-day basis as I continue to learn and grow my own personal skills.
For sure, and I guess zooming out a little bit to the rotations themselves now, you're in Chicago, Sierra, Cameron, I believe you're in Tulsa, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so talk to students a little bit about those 2 years. What do the rotations look like, where they might live? Do they have a life outside of work? What happens?
Sure. So I'll take that question now that I've been in the program for 14 months and kind of understand the rotational nature and how you constantly change up the living environment that you're working and living in. So I started in Tulsa, Oklahoma last July. The first rotation is typically assigned to fellows, just given the fact that they're entering the workforce and they're entering, you know, as a new stakeholder of CTCA and don't necessarily know how to navigate themselves as a fellow as far as uncovering, you know, really powerful and meaningful project opportunities, navigating conversations with the leaders, and understanding how to approach those in order to set up rotational projects and experiences. So we take the liberty to assign first-year fellows to their first rotation based on what their preference is, on what they would like to work on or think they would enjoy working on, and then where they see themselves living or starting out. And then through your first rotation and project, obviously you're developing strong relationships internally of that hospital, but then through that project, you're most likely going to have some interaction with some stakeholders and leaders in the different various hospitals in the nation. So based on your experience and what you really are passionate about, you then kind of uncover other opportunities and figure out whether or not you want to take the approach of becoming a subject matter expert in one field or one business unit. Let's say you have a strong passion for marketing and you would really like to see yourself in different marketing roles throughout the entire 2 years. Or you can kind of take a different approach and think, you know what, I feel pretty confident in my skills in marketing. Not really for me. I don't necessarily see myself in that business area or sector long term. I think that I would really like finance, and currently I just am not very skilled with financials. So then you can kind of take that approach to set up some type of experience or project in a different CTCA location, maybe based in finance, maybe in operations or strategy, Lean Six Sigma, you name it. Pretty much any department that affects the overall operations of the hospital, to kind of develop this comprehensive overview of multiple business sectors, allowing you to freely pick up your life and move to a different area or city, that really just provides you the opportunity to figure out your niche within the company to better understand how you fit into the company long term post fellowship.
And in terms of life outside, if I can tack on to that one, because as the coming right out of college and in that transition, that was obviously at the top of my mind. And I've had an incredible time exploring the city of Chicago. It was very different from Palo Alto. I'd never been to the state of Illinois before. But getting out and having the personal time to explore and learn about a new place, I think has helped me grow as a person and as a professional just as much as the work that I've been doing in the hospital. And I still do have my ties to the Stanford family. Had my first alumni event on Friday, watched the football game. Good job, guys. So you really do have that excellent work-life balance, and that's something the company places an incredible amount of value on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And just going one step further, so obviously we have all these different locations and cities that we work in. Sometimes you're living by yourself because you may be the only fellow supporting projects at one hospital. However, other times you might have another fellow or even two more fellows all sharing the same living space, which really allows you to I guess, develop as friends and I guess as members of the same cohort. So, you know, we work together, you can live together and cook and go out for drinks and have a lot of fun socially at the same time. So you're really developing yourselves at a deeper level of friendship, and it really adds to the quality of work that you provide because there's greater meaning to it and you're more passionate about what you're doing because you're sharing the same experiences with like-minded individuals and recent graduates from an undergrad university or college. And so you can relate to each other and support each other through certain issues or barriers that you may be facing, and then you also have the chance to celebrate with one another, you know, for any victory that you come by or any success that happens during a project. And so through that lens, it's a really unique environment and program because it's very unlike other rotational programs where you're assigned to one location where you may be living, working, supporting projects by yourself at that location for several months at a time. We have the opportunity to collaborate and to build our experience, really interacting with each other throughout.
And I want to make sure I got this right. The last time we spoke offline, you said the moving, that CTCA actually covers a lot of that as you guys go through your rotations, location to location. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So CTCA handles a lot of the logistics associated with the different travel barriers and kind of inconveniences that occur with other rotational programs. So it really allows you to just focus on the work you're doing. And then all you really need to worry about is booking your flight based on when you want to move to the next location, and then we kind of take care of a lot of the other barriers for you to make your work-life balance as, you know, as amazing and complementary of each other as possible.
So jump into some of the crowdsourced questions now. We have a student that has asked, how is my work as a management fellow affecting patients? Can you give a real-life example?
Yeah, I can absolutely give an example that I'm working on right now. So I know I mentioned briefly that I was helping with the opening of a new tower component to our hospital, but more specifically, I am project managing the rollout of a new patient engagement system that we're going to go live with when the tower opens. So what that system is an interactive piece of an inpatient room where it gives patients the ability to watch television, stream movies, music, read ebooks. It also provides medical educational content that we're hand selecting based on the types of specific cancers that we do treat here as our specialties. And then it also incorporates with a lot of our other services that the hospital offers. So one of the really cool, unique elements of CTCA is that we're focusing on this whole encompassing concept of care. So the perfect example I can think of off the top of my head is in the new tower, we are expanding our salon for women who are undergoing treatment to go in and get fitted for wigs or get their makeup done or really have that element that seems to be removed from the medical field in terms of making yourself feel special and giving that extra flavor for these patients. And the system that I'm working on is going to interface with the salon team so that patients from the comfort of their own room can reach out and select an appointment with a specialist. And that stretches everything from the salon to the pharmacist, so that our patients are getting their medications delivered directly to their bedside so that they don't have to, once leaving the hospital, go and stop at a Walgreens and wait in line and get a prescription filled. And all of those smaller things that you don't necessarily think of but really can make life challenging, even more challenging than it already is for a patient undergoing cancer treatment. So that's what I'm personally working on, and although I'm on the development and the planning side, I'm going down every day and having lunch with patients and asking them what would make your experience here that much better, and what can this system do for you to make your treatment and your time here the best possible experience in a really challenging time in your life. So that's something I'm working on, and I had an amazing breakfast with a patient today. Who actually spent a lot of time out in the Bay, so we got a bond over that as well.
Talking about the Bay a little bit, another question from a student here, crowdsourced questions, is what is the first thing you'll do when you're back on the farm?
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is going to be, there are two things I will do. So I was obsessed with the new Fraiche that opened on campus in Tresidder. So I will be stopping by Fraiche for sure, and then I will also be stopping by the tour guide office to see my old group of coworkers that I was really involved with. And I know the fountains are off, but as we had the pleasure of having them on during our graduation, I think we may be going and having a little picnic without the water by one of the fountains.
Awesome. And so lining into some questions now about, like, if I'm a student and I really want to apply and be a part of this, some questions in that direction. So let's start off with this. How many fellows do you welcome on board every year?
Sure. So I'm actually leading recruitment this fall, so I'll be able to answer these types of questions fairly well, or at least hopefully I can. So we're planning to hire between 4 to 6 management fellows this November, who will then start working in our next class next July of 2016. So we do have several hundred applicants every year, so it's a fairly competitive program, but we're really diligent with the type of talent we want to hire just because of the different culture at our CTCA hospitals and how wonderful the stakeholders are. So we really prioritize our search and hiring process in order to make sure that we're hiring people who are very dedicated to healthcare, very dedicated to this unique, different care model that we offer, and to the patient experience in general, hoping to make a true change within the first couple of years of their professional career. So it's a 3-round interview process where we have about 15 final candidates fly out to our hospital in the Arizona region to go through a 2-day round interview process where we then will hire 4 to 6 of those 15 this November. And so this is a pretty familiar territory for Sierra, I'm sure, as she was just going through this process about 10 months ago. So Sierra, I'm not sure if you have anything to comment on, but I'm pretty sure that sums it up.
Yeah. So I mean, if I'm a student that's now like, okay, I want to put together the best resume, cover letter as possible for you all. I've done so many things in my academic or even internship career. What things matter to you? What should I be highlighting? Because I know that's unique to each different company.
Sure. So actually to apply, we have candidates submit their resume and fill out an online questionnaire, which will be attached to the job posting at Stanford. But this questionnaire is actually in lieu of a cover letter. We found that it allows us to better understand an individual and to have more of a personalized approach to get to know them as a person and to better understand their talent. And then candidates will be going through a talent online assessment. So this is a link candidates can copy and paste in a URL to fill out kind of a 30-second assessment that better allows us to understand their talent at a deeper level as well. So we really prioritize the leadership potential, not necessarily based on any backgrounds or experience, but where we're looking for people who are extremely talented and have the eagerness to learn more, have an intellectual curiosity, to expand their interests and to ask a lot of questions, and to not be afraid to work in ambiguous territories. People who are extremely influential in regards to allowing people to be persuaded in their ideas and what they're really passionate about. And then also people who are extremely relational, so prioritize relationships. These are the different attributes that we really weight in our selection process, just because it adds to the culture in our environment and really allows our fellowship to be kind of a young, thriving, energetic cohort of people who are supportive of each other and are constantly developing and focusing on their own development. So with that being said, we encourage all majors and all backgrounds and skill sets to apply, because we're really just looking for talent and the potential to develop our fellows into leaders in healthcare and for our company.
And so on that note, as far as what majors you're interested in, what years in school, undergrad, master's, PhD, postdoc, what do you see there as a fit?
Sure. So as I alluded to, we don't recruit based on specific majors, so all majors are encouraged to apply. Like Sierra mentioned, she studied psychology, I studied biology. We have people who studied English writing and rhetoric who have been past fellows, so it really doesn't matter. All majors are accepted and welcomed. We typically do focus our efforts on current senior undergrads so that they can complete their undergrad degree, their bachelor's degree, and then enter the workforce. Although we don't discredit or prevent MBAs or anyone in a graduate school to apply, because all individuals are welcome to apply. Although we kind of do want that young 22 to 25-year-old like-minded group of individuals to kind of all enter and go through this learning journey together.
All right, and you both made it through the interview process. So what specific advice would you have for students as they think about interviews with you?
I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give, thinking back to flying out to a hospital by myself for the first time, about to go into this 2-day-long interview process, was that as we're interviewing and as you're being interviewed, we're genuinely looking to get to know you as a person. And as I walked away from our 2 days of in-person interviews, I actually enjoyed it. I had an incredible time and felt like I made a very good group of friends, even though we were interviewing for the same job. So when I was reflecting on what did that mean, what was the skill set that I brought out for that interview process, I think you can really sum it down to being relational and being true to yourself. Because as Cam alluded to, this is a very strong group that ends up working together and growing together to hopefully be the future leaders of this company. So your ability to develop relationships and be your true and genuine self every day is something that we really prioritize. So I would place that above any specific experience or problem-solving skill set or any one tactful thing that you feel you may have mastered. It's more your true personality and your ability to convey that to others and develop relationships with people in a very easy and fun manner. Cam, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't. Thanks for saying that, Sierra. I think that was a great response.
And with so many inroads into getting an interview with a company, real life example, how did you guys get your interview with CTCA?
Sure. So I actually found out about CTCA about 3 days prior to them arriving on campus for a career fair. And so I just did some research, fell in love with the mission and vision of the company, really loved the fact that it's extremely entrepreneurial and that it's a family business. And so I simply applied, sent in my resume questionnaire, and then I had a first round interview a week later on campus. And before I knew it, I was going through second round interviews. And then a week later, I was asked to fly to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the final round 2-day interview process. And then shortly after, received a call the next week with an offer. So it actually happened in less than 30 days in total, which would be about the same turnaround for any Stanford applicant, because our career fair is this Thursday, and we'll be making all hires in about 5 weeks.
This is very specific to current seniors. I'm sure they can relate to this, but my senior year, I lost the housing lottery. I was draw number 998 for Tier 1, so I ended up living separate from all of my friends. So I took that first week of senior year to really invest in researching the different companies and different opportunities that were going to be out there at the career fair, because for anyone who's passed by the career fair in White Plaza, you know it's just an incredible number of companies all out there at the same time. So I really wanted to walk into that experience with a strong grasp of what did I want out of my future career path. So I spent a lot of time, to the best that I could through the internet, trying to get to the heart and the root of the culture of different companies. And I had it narrowed down to healthcare, but even furthermore to cancer treatment, because that's something that's always been a very important part of my life and my family's life. And I was able to read online about this incredible family network that the stakeholders of CTCA shared. And my goal in going into the career fair and speaking with the recruiters was to determine if that was actually true. And I had an incredible 45-minute conversation or so with two of the recruiters, one who was a past fellow. And right after that, because of the quick turnaround time, submitted my application and did an over-the-phone interview, which we will now be doing on campus, thankfully. And soon afterwards was flown out to Phoenix. I had the shortest flight from anyone coming from the East Coast, which was nice, and then knew a few days before Thanksgiving. And it just happened incredibly quickly, but every step of the way, my assumptions of what I was going into and also the vision that I had for my future career was validated. And that was something that was really important to me as I moved along in the process, and I think is important for anybody going through the recruitment cycle. Is just constantly checking in with yourself and seeing, can I envision myself in this role or in this experience and working with these people?
All right, and as our current students move along their own process here on the farm, so Sierra, here's a kind of a closing question for you all.
Yeah.
So for students looking to learn from your experience, what's something you did at Stanford that is paying dividends for you now in your life as a new grad?
Ooh, let's see. So I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing come out in a day-to-day experience is I worked very closely at the Arbor Free Health Clinic with the Cardinal Free Clinic system. And that experience, because it was very student-driven, had a lot of entrepreneurial and leadership opportunities. And more than that, the opportunities were so impactful on individual patients' lives. And that was something that I was doing it on the weekends in between my coursework, and I guess I never really stopped and understood how big of an impact that was making for individual people. And that's something that now, being in a more professional role, but getting to do have a similar impact, I think I've finally realized, wow, that was such an incredible opportunity and taught me so much about the importance of creating that individual impact for people. And then on a more just like skill set, like I said, I was a tour guide for 4 years. You'll probably notice with the hands as I've been talking. But the almost 1,000 hours of tour guiding I put in has definitely helped me with just thinking on my feet and being able to really walk into any situation and feel confident in my skill set and confident in myself.
All right, and I'm sure the students will be looking forward to meeting you all this week. For those that aren't able to meet you guys this week, because students will be watching this beyond this last week of September, first week of October, what's the best way to get on your radar if we cannot meet you at the career fair going forward?
Sure. So I would encourage students to reach out to either Sierra or myself. We're happy to provide Jeff with our contact information and for Jeff to disseminate that information appropriately based on candidates' interests. But we really encourage you to stop by our table this Thursday so that we can get to know you as a candidate and talk about the program and allow you to have the chance to interact with us as well based on our individual experiences. So we will be hosting interviews on campus a week from this Friday, so October 9th, and applications will be due sometime mid next week, where then we will be reaching out to candidates individually to invite them to interview with us. So in the interim period, I encourage you to check out our website you can just Google Cancer Treatment Centers of America Management Fellowship, or you can go to our job posting and check out the link on there as well. But feel free to reach out to us personally as well, because we always welcome that and want to get to know you guys. So we appreciate your interest in CTCA and in the Management Fellowship.
All right, so we really want to thank CTCA for coming on board this morning or this afternoon. Sierra, Cameron, we'll be looking forward to seeing you here on Thursday. Otherwise, thanks again, and that's it for this session of Unplugged at Stanford.